And if you haven't noticed, I have a really bad cold, so I'm going to try and get through without coughing. But I was thinking about this as I was in the hotel elevator, because I just coughed for a good 2 minutes, and then I pressed the buttons on the elevator. And I was just thinking that this is probably how epidemics are started. So, and then when I get on the plane, I'm going to spread it even farther. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into this. I have a brother who was in the military. He's in the Army. My father was in the Army as well. And he was stationed in Afghanistan. And so he's had a few experiences there that have really impacted him. And he actually, they've impacted him in such a way that, you know, it's kind of affected who he is and how he lives his life outside of those things. And he actually just went back to Afghanistan as a contractor this time by choice. So it seems like, you know, it just put him on a path that he's, you know, I don't know how to explain it. But this poem has an epigraph from Wisława Szymborska. Forgive me, distant wars, for bringing flowers home. Why I don't mention flowers when conversations with my brother reach uncomfortable silences. In the Kashmir mountains, my brother shot many men, blew skulls from brown skins, dyed white desert sand crimson. What is there to say to a man who has traversed such a world, whose hands and eyes have betrayed him? Were there flowers there? I asked. This is what he told me. In a village, many men wrapped a woman in a sheet. She didn't struggle. Her bare feet dragged in the dirt. They laid her in the road and stoned her. The first man was her father. He threw 2 stones in a row. Her brother had filled his pockets with stones on the way there. The crowd was a hive of disturbed bees. The volley of stones against her body drowned out her moans. Blood burst through the sheet like a patch of violets, 100 roses in bloom. Sorry, I'm going to have to do this a few times. This next poem has an epigraph. I'm the queen of epigraphs, so has an epigraph from the Quran, from Al-Fil, or elephant. Hast thou not seen what thy Lord did with the possessors of the elephant? The elephants. My brother still hears the tanks when he is angry. They rumble like a herd of hot green elephants over the plowed streets inside him, crash through the white oleanders lining my parents' yard during family barbecues, great scarred ears flapping, commanding a dust storm that shakes blooms from the stalks like wrecked stars. 1,001 sleepless nights bulge their thick skulls. Gross elephant boots pummel ice chests. The long barrels of their trunks crush cans of cheap beer and soda pop in quick, sparkling bursts of froth. And the meat on the grill goes to debris in the flames, while the rest of us cower beneath lawn chairs. When the tusked animals in my brother's miserable eyes finally fall asleep standing up, I find the nerve to ask him what they sound like, and he tells me. It's no hat dance, and says that unless I've felt the bright beaks of ancient Stymphalian birds, unless I've felt the color red raining from heaven and marching in my veins, I'll never know the sound of war. But I do know that since my brother's been back, orange clouds hang above him like fruit made of smoke, and he sways in trance-like pachyderm rhythm to the sweet tings of death music, circling his head like an explosion of blue bottle flies haloing him. I'm no saint, he sighs, flicking each one away. He doesn't sit in chairs anymore and is always on his feet, hovering by the window, peeking out the door, because, he explains, everyone is the enemy, even you, even me. The heat from guns he'll never let go rises up from his fists like a desert mirage, blurring everything he tries to touch or hold. If we cry when his hands disappear like that, he laughs. Those hands, he tells us, those little Frankensteins, were never my friends. But before all this, I waited for him, as he floated down the airport escalator in his camouflage BDUs. An Army-issued duffel bag dangled from his shoulders. Hot green elephants, their arsenal of memory, rocking inside. He was home. He was gone. This next one is it's tough, I think, for people who've never, for Americans in particular, but people who've never been to war or seen war or experienced war. It's tough for us to know where to place it. And it's something I'm constantly trying to make sense of, especially because it's close to me, because my family, you know, my brother, and we're from a small community, and often in small communities, that's what our brothers and sisters do. That's what our sons and daughters do. They go into the military. It's an option that looks good for everybody. And so it's tough because you hear things about someone you know or someone knew, and it does hit you quickly, briefly, and then we kind of move on until the next thing pops up. But it's strange for me watching some of these things happen on TV. We see it, and we see it in the snippets that we need to see it in, and that we can handle it in, so we can still go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning. But I'm always trying to equate some of those things with just my daily life. This is a little bit different. But from where I'm at, love and war are the same celebration. Reduced to a fireworks display on the TV screen, bombs like silver bells toll above the horizon. This is my chance. I feel like I might die. I lean over, kiss you sitting on the sofa, and pretend we're lying there, stretched across that desert. The only affliction is your mouth. The single ache is that I cannot crawl inside you. The explosions are for us. The war is nothing more than a reminder to go to Mass. The tolling, you're sighing. The bombs are a carnival of bodies, touch, other things we want to taste. An apple wedge soaked in vinegar. A blood orange swelling like a breast. Those beggars of teeth. I want you like that, enough to gnash you into a silence made from pieces of silver. A dark rock crouched in the sea grieving night, remembering the sweet give of a ship. My mouth is on your thigh, a thigh that even on its own is too much for me. I would die to tear just this piece of you away, to empty your dress onto the floor, to win even this smallest of wars. I'm a lucky enough writer that I have a lot of screwed up brothers, so we checked that brother off, we're on to the next one. And I say a lot of things jokingly, but actually, and now that the book's coming out, it's something I will have, and I'm home now. I went back home. It was much easier for me to be here and to write some of the things I was writing and not have to look him in the eye. And then not only that, but just to be able just to kind of keep him distance and interpret him. And okay, here's my brother. He's fucked up, and this is pretty much it. And put it away and go to bed. But it's a lot different being home and seeing the weight that he manages to place on everybody. And this is the title poem from my book. Excuse me. When my brother was an Aztec, He lived in our basement and sacrificed my parents every morning. It was awful, unforgivable, but they kept coming back for more. They loved him, was all they could say. It started with him stumbling along La Avenida de los Muertos, my parents walking behind like effigies in a procession he might burn to the ground at any moment. They didn't know what else to do except be there to pick him up when he died. They forgot who was dying, who was already dead. My brother quit wearing shirts when a carnival of dirty-breasted women made him their leader, following him up and down the stairs. They were acrobats, moving, twitching like snakes. They fed him crushed diamonds and fire. He gobbled the gifts. My parents begged him to pluck their eyes out. He thought he was Huitzilopochtli, a god, half man, half hummingbird. My parents at his feet wrecked honeysuckles. He lowered his sword-like mouth, gorged on them, draining color until their eyebrows whitened. My brother shattered and quartered them before his basement festivals, waved their shaking hearts in his fists, while flea-ridden dogs ran up and down the steps, licking their asses, turning tricks. Neighbors were amazed my parents' hearts kept growing back. It said a lot about my parents, or parents' hearts. My brother flung them into cenotes, dropped them from cliffs, punched holes into their skulls like useless jars or vases, broke them to pieces, and fed them to gods ruling the ratty crotches of street fair whores with pocked faces, spreading their thighs in flop houses with no electricity. He slept in filthy clothes smelling of rotten peaches and matches, fell in love with sparkling spoonfuls the carnival dog women fed him. My parents lost their appetites for food, for sons. Like all bad kings, my brother wore a crown, a green baseball cap turned backwards with the Mexican flag embroidered on it. When he wore it in the front yard, which he treated like his personal zócalo, all his realm knew he had the power that day, had all the jewels a king could eat or smoke or shoot. The slave girls came to the fence and ate out of his hands. He fed them maize through the chain links. My parents watched from the window, crying over their house turned zoo, their son who was now a rusted cage. The Aztec held court in a salt cedar grove across the street where peacocks lived. My parents crossed fingers so he'd never come back, lit novena candles so he would. He always came home with turquoise and jade feathers and stinking of peacock shit. My parents gathered what he'd left of their bodies, trying to stand without legs, trying to defend his blows with missing arms, searching for their fingers to pray, to climb out of whatever dark belly my brother, the Aztec, their son, had fed them to.